All right, so today is I think it's day 10, 9 or 10 of Tour de Fleece. And while today is a challenge day, apparently I needed a distraction from spinning. And so I'm going to talk about my experience at Black Sheep Gathering this past couple of weeks ago. So it was at the end of June 2022. And I did write something down, all of my views and stuff, just so that I had something that sounded coherent. However, I'm probably going to veer off of that at some point because, well, that's me. Now, overall, about Black Sheep Gathering, I had an absolute blast. I came back home despite the fact that I had driven in 90-degree weather in a truck on the freeway during like slow traffic with no AC. So it was a very draining trip back, but I still had an absolute blast. And people who are Doctor Who fans will, I know, like either cringe or have a reaction to what I'm about to say, but I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go back home. I wanted to stay. I was very happy, and there is a side of me that is highly considering next year to go ahead and book every single camping day there that I can, because that's what I did. I camped there. I did not stay in a hotel. They have tent spaces for about $15 a night, which is an awesome deal. And then if you have an RV or you feel comfortable car camping, they do have RV spots with some with power, some with water, some with power and water. In fact, I think you've got different types of power, and then you have an option of power and water, or you can do what they call dry camping, where you don't have any power, where you don't have any water. So you do have abilities to camp on site, as well as the tents now. Tents, you have no services. There's a few sites that are accessible to a power plug if you have something like a CPAP machine, but I recommend that if you do that, to bring a long extension cord, and then some of those rampy, blocky things that you can run your cable through, so it's not a tripping hazard for people, because it has to cross one of the main walkways. So just be aware of that. Or I guess you could do something with like gaffer tape. But anyway, so that would be the ones along the edges. I think this year for the tents we did 3 rows, and that was great. It looked like all of the spots were full. But, all in all, this is sort of the overview. I had an absolute blast. There were not many things that were negative. And really, what I guess you could count as a negative, they have been brought up multiple times to the Black Sheep Gathering coordinators. And I know from a fact from when I spoke to them, that they are taking those on board. And, probably a big thing is that if you feel moved to, and you have the time and the bandwidth, volunteer there. There are some volunteer opportunities with Black Sheep Gathering that you don't have to do a lot of upfront or a lot of commitment into your day before the event. You can just be someone who volunteers at the event. So that your event time is there, and they're really considerate. They really, really, really want you to have fun at Black Sheep Gathering. They don't want you to be like stuck behind behind that volunteer opportunity the whole time. I mean, hey, if that's what gives you the enjoyment of Black Sheep Gathering, by all means do it. But they are so considerate of your time that I volunteered for a couple of the days, and one was like maybe a 2-hour time commitment, and the other one was on Sunday at the merchandise booth. So I did a little bit longer commitment there. It was like from 11:45 until about 2:30 or something. And it was fun. I mean, I got to talk to people. I got to practice my small talk. I got now to practice of that. But yeah, it was a blast. Tent camping is a blast. The volunteering was a blast. I didn't have the ability to take any courses this year, but from what I understand, the classes were fun too, and I'm definitely planning and plotting to allow myself to take courses next year. And but yeah, it's definitely one of my must-dos next year. So I'm going to go ahead and read from this, and then I'll go ahead and do more riffing off of that as we go. So sorry for the reading, but again, overall A+++ time was had, 11 out of 10. I'll do it again. The minuses were either minor or out of the control of Black Sheep Gathering. And so I'll just start with the minuses to get them out of the way. The tent sites were not clearly marked. The wind, especially in the realms of the tent campers. There was a small, tiny issue with toilet paper running out Saturday night. I'll explain that later. Lack of shade, very few food trucks. Those were really the only minuses. I'm talking, that was it. So all in all, this was well run. And like I said, the staff for Black Sheep Gathering, or the coordinators for Black Sheep Gathering, were well aware of these. And like I said, I know I had spoken to them. So again, the things listed that Black Sheep Gathering either had zero control over, or if they do have control over it, it definitely goes into the lessons learned. And I did bring up those items that were either in their control or they should know about, so that they can, lessons learned type thing. And that was the tent sites not being well marked. There was some confusion about that, and I remember there being a little bit of confusion in 2019 when I last camped there. Not knowing really which was your site within the markers. And while writing this, I did have an idea that maybe a post about it, and how they'll be marked so that people know what to look for. Because they use like little markers that you use for your garden, and that is how they were marked. And it was like one side had one number for a tent site and the other side had the other number for another tent site. So it would go like 20, then 21, and then the next one would be 21, 22, so that in between the two 21s was the site, was tent site number 21. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. It's just that, trying to find them because the grass almost hid them. So I did bring that up with them, and somehow got on the list of someone being interested in volunteering to help out specifically with the tent sites next year. So, that might happen. And again, if that is the case, then I will probably do some sort of post about how the tent sites are marked so that people know. And that just, like I said, that just makes perfect sense to me. The other one was the toilet paper issue on Saturday. Saturday night, what had happened is I had gone in probably about 10, 11 o'clock to go to the bathroom, and there was no toilet paper anywhere. We were making do. And the only thing I can think of, because this was the only time that it had happened, and I had been camping since Thursday night there, is that we had the spinners lead that day. And also Saturday was, like the big first day. So lots of stuff was happening in the barn, because that's where the tent camping bathrooms were. They also had the showers. And so that's what I think is just that there was an unprecedented demand. And it, I don't blame anyone for it. It just happened. And again, I had seen the staff of the Linn County Expo Center in all of the bathrooms. Practically every single time I went into a bathroom, there was someone there. either cleaning or stocking things. So I know it, which is why I think that it was just, there was an unprecedented demand on those toilets at that time, is that there was someone in there all the time doing something to clean up or restock to keep up with everything. So again, I think it was just a, a thing. And maybe it's adjust the time, the route of the cleaning staff so that they are doing that final stock up before they clock off for the night. Maybe they do that barn bathroom last so that it's got the most stuff for the longest time. Personally, I'm going to bring some extra toilet paper for myself. So that's on my schedule. There was also the food trucks. Again, that's a lessons learned thing. And there was only 2 food carts and a coffee cart on site, and then you had the Cascade Grill in between the 2 hotels. So that was all for your really immediate, easy walking distance for food. And those 2 food carts did close down probably about 5, 6 o'clock at night. And the coffee truck was closed like maybe by 2 or 3. And I know that in 2019, there was a concessionaire in the marketplace. That wasn't there this year. So again, that's just a lessons learned. And I know a lot of people brought that up too. But all in all, that's for the really convenient access to food. We are easily within the Albany city limits. I mean, we're like, it goes I-5, the airport, the expo center. And then on the other side of the freeway, there is a shopping place that's got a Winco, a Costco, a Panera Bread, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, and that's just like right there. And then you've got all of Albany as well. And you can do a hop down the freeway, one exit, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's not like it's difficult to get food. So I think it's just a case of ease of access. So, food carts, few more food carts, but I think attendance was down this year because people just weren't sure with COVID and stuff. So, it's not difficult to get to things. So those are really the only things that I knew about that were within Black Sheep gatherings control of some sort. The things that weren't in their control were the wind. I had it in 2019, and that did shape a lot of how I prepared for this year. I had changed the weights on the water weights on my beach umbrella. I didn't plan to cook on site because the wind just made that difficult. I only planned to make my own coffee with my backpacking stove. Worked out great. And I planned for sandwiches, and given the food situation, that worked out great too. And also that's about all I was really hungry for anyway. Let's see here, where am I? Okay, so I had also suggested a note about the wind on the tent camping website so that people are aware of that when they're tent camping going forward. And that was taken on, and they are planning on doing that. Let's see here. So yeah, and then there's no shade because you're in between 2 buildings, and then you've got the airport, so you have absolutely no shade access. And again, that's just brought up, that's why I brought the umbrella and the weight. And my water weight wasn't all that awesome. I've got plans to change that up for next time too. So let's see. I might have gotten on their interested in volunteering list for next year, which is fine. So that was it for the minuses, and they were, like I said, very minor, or you develop a workaround, and I discussed the workarounds next. So workarounds for the minuses, so the minuses are smaller or turned into a plus. For the tent site marking, take your time, be sure of your site. This is one that, like I said, if I do become a volunteer, or I'll suggest it too, is to do a post about how they're going to be marked this year, so people are going in knowing exactly what to look for. Because if you didn't know what you were looking for, you didn't know what was going on, and you might just go ahead and pitch your tent where it looked right and then just hope for the best. So that's one. And then I explained about the toilet paper, the environmental things are just a case of being aware of them and planning accordingly, like the wind. Like I said, 2019 didn't know about the wind, so it was frustrating for me cooking. I wasted a lot of food, and mainly because of how I was traveling, which was via Amtrak that time, and so I couldn't really drag a cooler with me on top of everything else, and everything else I was dragging with me was already a lot. Yeah, check my previous one about that. So I had planned for it this time, and it was way less frustrating. I had only planned on making coffee and buying iced tea, as well as getting a 5-gallon container for water, as this time I had gotten my driver's license, and so I was able to drive down there, so I had a lot more space. And so I planned for sandwiches. My plan for the bread just didn't really work out all that well. The bread got hard really fast, even though I had it like in the cooler. It was not appealing. I wound up just doing meat and cheese wraps, really. So, again, that's an on me thing. That had nothing to do with that. That was my experience and my fault. The shade, again, I did bring my umbrella this year, as I had a cross brace and a water weight. The water weight sprung a leak, but as long as I was attending it and like put my camp chair on one of the cross legs of the brace of the umbrella, it worked great. And then it stayed upright when I collapsed it and put it into its unattended position. But I have a plan for a different water weight next year that I'm going to do if I don't go with my shade plan, which is getting a 20-foot by 10-foot canopy type thing, so that I can put my tent under the canopy and then have sort of a almost 10 by 10 space of a front porch, what I affectionately will call a spinning porch. So, and then use those water weights to keep it stable, as well as securing it down with stakes. So that's that. And then again, the food trucks, that again is just going to be a case of getting more food trucks out there if possible. If you have to hire them or suggest, hey, come down here, whatever. I don't know that side of it and how you get more, but it was mentioned to the staff, so I know that was a thing. So that's really like I said, that's really the minuses. So that was it. I mean, and like I said, those are so minor. I still gave it an 11 out of 10, and I think I probably would have given it an infinity out of 10 because I had so much fun. I really want to be back. But everything there was just awesome. It was great to see Jenkins there, and I think it was Woodland Woodcrafting there. And I just really wish I had saved up more money so I could spend more. Although some of that money probably would have gone to classes. But like I said, I had a blast there. I saw vendors that I had missed that, like Jenkins. I need to buy more spindles. I need to buy those. I almost want to get more types. And the spinning circles were fun. And just seeing like Eugene Textile Center. The sheep to shawl entries were just absolutely brilliant and awesome, and I really wish I had made more. Really wish I had made more time to actually watch sheep to shawl. I didn't pay much attention to the schedule of events. I just kind of, it was either I was doing my own thing or I had to mitigate for things that I was having to troubleshoot that were my issues. Like I had forgotten blankets and it was really cold Thursday night, so I had to go buy a sleeping bag and drive there, and I'm a slow driver because I'm still unsure of myself, especially in the vehicle I had taken. So I missed some things and I kind of regret that. So definitely make sure I have everything so I don't have to leave the site at all, is one of my suggestions to me for camping there. And the fiber arts entries this year were awesome. There was this tapestry that used over 130 beads to make it up, and it was so beautiful. I think I looked at that so many times, and when I was volunteering in the fiber arts section on Saturday afternoon, I was definitely sharing my enthusiasm for that project with other people. There was also this felted lion that was just absolutely adorable and anatomically correct, so that was fun. They had showed the sheep to shawl entries, which is why I'm like, oh, why couldn't I have remembered that? There were the skeins, which, you know, again, were awesome to see. There was felted things, there were knitted things, crocheted things, woven things, you know, all of that stuff. It was just absolutely brilliant. You know, so if you can only make the time to go to Black Sheep Gathering one day, I definitely recommend making sure you're there for the Saturday afternoon. That is just like the best time to go. It's also the most crowded, but it is the best time to go. The animal barn is always a hit. That's where Covered Bridge Farm is for their horned Dorset or Dorset horn sheep. They've got the goats there. They've got the Valais black-nosed sheep, which are just the most adorable sheep ever. They are so cute. They really, really are cute. And yeah, so that's really about it. You know, like I said, I have so much fun there. And the Lynn County Expo Center is also going to be home for the Oregon Flock and Fiber in October. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Chances are I'm only going to be able to go one day for that because of multiple things, but mainly I think I'm only going to be able to go down for one day, and so I'm definitely planning that for the Saturday, because it seems like the Saturday afternoon is like the best time. But yeah, like I said, 100% would recommend you going and seeing this if you are at all interested in fiber things, you know, be it wool or silk or rabbit furs, or rabbit fleece, I guess you could say, you know, just anything like that, and any sort of really handicraft, because there are people who are doing other sorts of things other than the fiber stuff that maybe are just influenced by the animal byproducts. So like sheep and goat milk soaps, you know, the wood crafting. You can, you know, if you're interested in wood crafting, you can go there and probably have a good chat with those people, you know, with those artists. Yeah, you don't have, you know, and it's not just something that's limited to someone who spins or weaves or felts and who takes the raw fiber and does something. There's also people who are selling yarn there, and it's not necessarily just getting the fleece or the unspun fiber. They do have the spun stuff as well. So I just would recommend, if you're in the area and during Black Sheep Gathering, which is always going to be like the last weekend of June, or even, you know, October, you know, I think it's like October 14th, 15th, 16th, or something like that. Somewhere between like the 14th and the 17th of October, you know, for Oregon Flock and Fiber. These are the two big festivals for fiber in Oregon that I know about. I know there's a few others running around like Fiber Fusion, and I think there's something that has conflict with another one of them. But yeah, just, you know, definitely go to them if you're interested in handicrafts and stuff like that, and just see what they are all about. And I'm pretty sure you'll get addicted and, you know, either be a spectator fan of it, or you might go ahead and get interested, because, you know, we're all enablers. So anyway, that is this. I hope I didn't bore you too much, and have a really good day. Enjoy the Tour de Fleece. Bye.